Hello everybody, today we'll be taking a look, analysing and predicting upcoming changes for the Dragoon in the Job Actions trailer. We'll first walk through the video, then we'll do a deeper analysis on what changed for the Dragoon. Without further ado, let's jump right in. The Dragoon starts off a fair distance away from the target and opens up with Battle Litany. He then uses a new movement ability that shouts him in a dragon aura to get to the target. He follows that up by starting off his combo with a through thrust and then a jump. He then uses an action that looks very similar to Disembowel and continues with Mirage Dive, which presumably doesn't give any eyes anymore as the eye gauge is gone. The combo goes on with a Chaotic Spring, Dragon Fire Dive, Wheeling Thrust, and then the new Dragon Claw-ish attack that we saw from the benchmark. Right after, he uses a new action, which has been revealed to be called Drakesbane, before restarting the combo with a Raiden Thrust. Just like how it is in the game right now, Raiden Thrust gives only one stack of First Mind's focus. He continues with Lance Charge, and an action that looks very similar to Vorpal Thrust. He follows up with Life Surge, Heaven's Thrust, and Gears Gogu, triggering Life of the Dragon, which is now on a 20 seconds timer instead of the 30 seconds timer we have now. He continues with Fang and Claw, Nestron, Drakesbane again, and looping the combo back to Raiden Thrust once again. With First Mind's focus fully stacked, he uses Wormwind Thrust, and then Elusive jumps away from the target before using Star Diver. Finally, he ends the showcase with a brand new jump ability. After looking through the video, you might be wondering, that didn't seem like a lot of changes, and you'd be right. Yoshi P has stated,
So with the Dragoon, we tried not to overdo the changing, but at the same time there were some pain points with like the business and also trying to work with the different positionals, and we tried to alleviate that with some of the automatic replacement of actions as you do your rotations and things like that. So some people may have been expecting an overhaul of the Dragoon, and so to those people, these might not seem like a lot of changes. But what we tried to do is to maintain the sort of play feel, but at the same time kind of streamline some of the pain points that we might have experienced. And so, I do feel sorry for people who had expected a larger change, but I hope you understand.
it seems that the goal for Dawntrail is to streamline Dragoon's already existing gameplay. Considering this rework was supposed to come out midway through Endwalker, and it was supposed to be on a scale similar to the Ninja or Samurai, I guess it kind of makes sense. I think there might be more changes than meets the eye, but let's go over the new abilities first. Starting off, we have the new gap closer I'm going to be calling Dragon Dash. It seems to be one of the many new movement tools that many jobs are receiving. We know they are not damaging, as there's no damage effect on the enemy. If you're wondering why we are getting this when we already have Spine Shatter Dive, it's because Yoshi P has announced that Spine Shatter Dive will be removed and replaced with this.
And then there was one action, Spine Shatter Dive was something that players may have used to sort of produce more output damage, but we took that out. I'm afraid we have removed that, and then we have newly added an action that will simply move your character.
I do wonder if this gap closer will be a targeted gap closer, or it will be something like Dance's Unavant and we can just use it to get close over a specific distance. I'm hoping for the latter because that's what we are lacking right now, but we'll see. Next up, we have upgrades for Disembowel and Vorpal Thrust. Just like the upgrade to Chaos Thrust and Full Thrust, these new actions have animations that are very similar to their current counterpart. There's not much here to say, except that Dragoon's basic combo has finally graduated from being mere Lancer abilities that they learned all the way back from ARR, except maybe for their very first GCD every fight. Following the trend of combo upgrades, Fang and Claw and Wheeling Thrust have also received a new conditional upgrade, officially called Drakesbane. It has been revealed to replace Fang and Claw and Wheeling Thrust as the 5th combo action, and does not have positional requirements, streamlining the Dragoon's combo chain. It should be noted that the input execution will remain the same, so the muscle memory you've developed won't require any changing. Next up, we have this action where the Dragoon summons a Dragon's Claw, or Head, or some other appendages from a magic circle, which I'll be calling the Dragon Claw. Strangely, despite having a color scheme similar to other actions that are available during Life of the Dragon, this ability is actually usable outside of Life of the Dragon. Looking at the player animation more closely, we can see a blue aura being released when the action is used, so it's highly likely that this is a new oGCD action. Apart from this, we don't really have much else to lead on based off what was officially revealed, as it doesn't really seem to interact with the job gauge in any way. Speaking of oGCDs, I want to quickly go over something before discussing the last action that was revealed. If you're like me, and was wondering if the jumps would change from oGCDs to GCDs, since the Dragoons were supposed to have a rework, then I have a half answer for you. It seems that the jumps are all oGCD still, as they all still emit the blue oGCD aura on use. However, it should be noted that this blue oGCD aura is not consistent and exceptions do exist. For example, Ninja's Phantom Kamaitachi and Paladin's Conflitio, for whatever reason, emits blue aura on use despite being on the GCD. So until the media tour information is released, there is still the possibility that jumps will be on the GCD. You might be wondering why I think jumps might change to be on the GCD. Well, let's take a look at Dragoon's last and grandest new action. I don't know if I should be surprised or not surprised that we are getting yet another jump, and unlike all our current jump actions, this one does not emit the blue aura and is actually on the GCD. I personally think that it's weird as jumps have historically been oGCD actions, so either this new action is an exception to the pattern, or maybe jumps are all going to be on the GCD. Or I'm just colorblind. As for the new ability itself, unfortunately, we don't actually know anything else about it, just like the Dragon Claw. Maybe it's only usable during Life of the Dragon, but the animation differs so much from all the other raid stuff that's already being used in Life of the Dragon, so I feel that's quite unlikely. Alright, that's it for new actions for the Dragoon. But there's still the job gauge. Without the eye gauge, what would be the thing that will allow Dragoons to enter Life of the Dragon? Well, I think there's two possibilities. Maybe first of all, it might continue to follow off Mirage Dive, but instead of requiring 2 dives, perhaps we just need 1 dive now. Even though this is possible, I find this unlikely as it will mean that we can enter Life of the Dragon every 30 seconds. What the devs could do to accommodate this, however, is to increase the cooldown of Mirage Dive, which is also possible, but once again I think that it will be unlikely since Mirage Dive, and by extension High Jump, is a key part of keeping Dragoons occupied during the failure phase. Second possibility is that it will now be Dragonfire Dive that triggers Life of the Dragon. I can see them reducing Dragonfire Dive to a 60 seconds cooldown instead, so it will allow Dragoons to enter Life of the Dragon every minute like in the game now. And it actually gives Dragonfire Dive a purpose rather than an extra button to just press every 2 minutes. What will they actually do? I can't wait to find out. Last but not least, let's talk about the actions that didn't appear in the video. This includes Piercing Talon, the AoE combo, and the Elephant in the Room Dragon Sight. In case it wasn't obvious, just because an action isn't shown in the trailer, it doesn't mean that it's totally gone. There's no way that Dragoon loses their ranged filler and their AoE filler after all. However, with Dragon Sight's omission from the trailer, I think it's reasonable to guess that it's finally being pulled out of its misery. Dragon Sight has changed significantly from its inception, and ever since the tether was removed, Dragon Sight felt like a shell of its former self. It doesn't help that it's the only buff action in the game that requires a DPS player to target someone else, increasing the button inputs needed if they weren't already using a macro. It also doesn't help that the devs have stated in the slide that some actions will be removed to make the burst window less input intensive. This is just a theory, but I think it's very likely that Dragon Sight will be removed from the game. And that's it. Here's all the changes that the Dragoon will be receiving in Dawntrail that we can interpret from the job actions trailer. Initially, I was going to dive into the benchmark Datamine, but there wasn't really any useful information there. The only thing of note is that Dragonfire Dive and Star Shatter Dive would change into the new actions, and from there we can reasonably guess that Dragonfire Dive will become the Dragon Claw, and Star Diver will become the new jump. However, we don't know if they are just unconditional combo buttons, or there's something else in the kit that unlocks these new actions. Now that I think about it, I'm going to throw this out there while I still can, but I have a hunch that it's actually reversed, and it will be Star Diver that becomes the Dragon Claw, and Dragon Fire Dive that will become the new jump. I think this just makes a little more sense overall thematically, and there was a lot of actions that were happening in between, so any of those actions could have provided a new buff that will unlock these new actions. Whatever the case, Media Tour is gonna end soon and we'll be getting our tooltips real soon. Alright, this is the actual end of the video. On the surface, the Dragoon seems to be more or less the same, but I really wonder if they are hiding the bigger changes away from us. I feel like a number of things don't really make sense, but I'm cautiously optimistic. What do you guys think? And if you have any other feedback on this video, like if the video is too shallow or it's too long, please do let me know as well. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys on the next video. Goodbye!